Hello and welcome back to another Club World Cup fantasy team selection video. We are now into the semi-finals, which means this is going to be the second last video we do for this tournament. So if you have been enjoying or you do enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe, because we are going to of course move on to FPL once this tournament has finished. But talking more on the Club World Cup, it wasn't the best match day for the quarterfinals for myself. I have dropped a significant amount. Let's jump in and see what's happened. So this is how my team is currently sitting, and as you can see by the rank just below my face and the match day rank, it really wasn't too good of a match day for myself, and it was very close to being really good as well. Obviously 716th, I think I was about 250th at the start of the quarterfinals for our match day team selection, and I was literally, I want to say 150th in the world or so before the last 10 minutes of that Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund match. I think Trent ended up hauling because he kept the clean sheet. He gets subbed off before they did concede, so he ended up with like a 12-pointer. I ended up going for Vinicius Jr. after spinning a wheel between him and Mbappe. Off the bat, it did seem like a smart move with Vinicius Jr. starting and Mbappe being on the bench, but then Mbappe obviously came off the bench and scored in the last minute alongside Gurase, who also scored in the last minute, and it did really just plummet my rank in that last 10 minutes. So Mbappe ended up with 8 points, I think Gurase about 9, I want to say, or something similar, and then obviously Trent with the 12-pointer were really the rank killers, which did drop me a significant amount, and only 49 points for the quarterfinals for me, so not really too great at all, but again still very recoverable. I think the top 100 finish might be out the window unless I manage a miracle in the semi-finals. Obviously a lot of people are saving their max captain for the final as well, which I don't have, so I'm going to have to try and nail that as well, which isn't going to be too ideal. So it seems like a very long shot to try and get that top 100 finish now at the minute, but we've just got our fingers crossed, and the transfers this week is hopefully what's going to do it for me. So as we look at the draw then, we have obviously 4 teams remaining. We've got Chelsea versus Fluminense in one of the semi-finals, and then the very difficult semi-final in PSG and Real Madrid. Now, again, if you want to play the odds, last match day, it kind of did work out for us. You know, Chelsea were favourites to beat Palmeiras. PSG were favourite to beat Bayern, Real were favourite to beat Dortmund, and then Al Hilal and Fluminense did have Al Hilal is a very slight favourite, but I think it was, you know, essentially a 50-50 between those two, and I know a lot of people, including myself, did back Al Hilal in that match, as you did see with my team just there having 2 Al Hilal players. So I do have a couple of transfers to try and make with my team, but again, as we're heading into the semi-finals, Chelsea is going to want to be the team that you do want to try and target, given a 75% chance of qualifying. Again, all taken from odds checkers, odds to qualify. That's why the percentages don't add up to 100%, because it's just the individual odds. PSG and Real Madrid I think is going to be a lot more tighter. I think PSG are definitely the better team and have looked the better team in this tournament, but I think Real Madrid, you know, there seems to be a big thing in the dressing room that this is a must-win tournament. So we'll see what happens with them. I definitely want to include some Real Madrid players in the off chance that they do go and beat PSG, but I think the main thing here is going to be trying to get Chelsea players in up against Fluminense. Again, I don't fully trust Chelsea to go and win that. I wouldn't be surprised if Fluminense did pull off a result in that. But again, we'd like to play the odds. We like to try and make smart decisions in fantasy football, and Chelsea is definitely the team that you want to be targeting. More on that, Chelsea again, very clearly the best team in defence for this match day, given a 38% chance of a clean sheet, which still isn't fantastic, but compared to the other teams, Chelsea's definitely, you know, clearly the best one there, with almost double the percentage of second place, which is PSG, with a 21% chance of a clean sheet, very similar to Real Madrid, who are only 2% less with 19%, and then Fluminense, the worst team of the semi-finals, with a 15% chance of keeping a clean sheet. So again, Chelsea defenders are going to be the ones that you want to be loading up on. Levi Colwill, the one who a lot of us probably have, is now suspended for the semi-finals, so if you have transfers available, you probably want to look at moving him out You know, they've got the likes of Chalobah and Adarabayo, who are probably going to be starting in at centre-back due to Badiashili's injury, and obviously Colwill being suspended. So that's something you're going to have to, you know, potentially keep in mind. Chalobah is only 0.8% owned as well, so a very nice option if you want to go for that differential bonus, which I definitely think is worth going for, considering, you know, points really are going to be sparse heading into these last 3 matches. In terms of predicted goals, we have the exact same order. Once again, Chelsea at the top, expected to score 1.92 goals, PSG with 1.66, Real Madrid at 1.55, then under 1 goal predicted as Fluminense at 0.98. So again, further emphasis on that Chelsea defence is where you want to be looking. I think PSG and Real is probably going to have more goals than it is predicted to. I think that could be a high scoring game, and I don't think any of the defenders are really what you want to be looking at. Obviously, of course, Nuno Mendes, Trent, Hakimi, 3 players who can do really well going forward. So I think the fullbacks is definitely something that you could consider, more so the PSG ones. Obviously, Fran Garcia did pick up a goal as well in the quarterfinals, so that's another, you know, tick off for the fullbacks. But I wouldn't really be looking at centre backs for this. None of them, or you're going to struggle to find one that is under 5% owned. So again, fullbacks, attacking fullbacks is really just where you want to be looking at in defence if you aren't going to go for Chelsea players. And just before we go into my team for the match day, I want to talk about the 4-4-4-3 method, which is essentially your way around not having to take a hit guaranteed in the final. So essentially, we're given 6 free transfers to use. As we all know, 6 free transfers is what's going to be available to us for the final. And as the final is only 1 match, there is absolutely no need for a bench at all, because you're not going to be subbing any players in because there is just a 1 match. So you need 11 players for the final, which means using your 6 transfers, you're only going to need 5 players remaining in your team heading into the final. So you can have, you know, 10 players eliminated as long as you've got 5 available players, and both of them not being goalkeepers, of course. You are going to be able to field a starting 11 in the final using your 6 free transfers, which means if you have at least 3 players from each semi-final team, it guarantees that you will have at least 6 players in the final. So this is the safest way to go into it, knowing that you're not going to have to take a hit in the final. So we've got a potential example here using 4 Chelsea, 4 PSG, 4 Real Madrid and 3 Fluminense players. That is probably going to be your safest option going into the final. Again, trying to pick 3 Fluminense players could be, you know, a little bit of an issue, especially if you don't have any at the minute. Maybe you don't want to be transferring in Fluminense players, but like I said, this is just an option. Obviously, you don't have to follow this. You can go a little bit more riskier. This is going to be probably your safest option. I think Fluminense is obviously the weakest team for the semi-finals, so I think having 4 players from the other 3 teams is going to be the best way to do it. But essentially means no matter who gets eliminated, you are going to be guaranteed at least 7 players available for the final, which is going to give you 4 transfers for your eliminated players, and you're going to have 1 extra one as well if you want to make a bit of a premium transfer. So even though I have just spoke about the 4-4-4-3 method, I am not going to be doing that myself, because sitting in 716th right now, I feel like I'm going to need a little bit of a punt, a little bit of a hallelujah moment to try and climb into that top 1000. So I'm basically just putting all my eggs in one basket. I've got Chelsea 5 players, I've got PSG 5 players, and I've covered off Real Madrid as well, because I think that could be a tough game, which means as long as Chelsea qualify, I'm going to be totally okay heading into the final, and I just kind of have to back the odds at this point, and Chelsea are of course the favourites to go through. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I just kind of want to be taking that punt on Chelsea and hoping that I can go into the final with a really nice, you know, rank that is going to at least get me close to the top 100. I would love a top 100 finish is kind of where I'm at right now. Whether I finish 700th or 7,000th at this point, I'm not really too bothered, so that's why I'm kind of taking this punt that I'm going for. You can see on the left hand side the players that I have taken out: Kane, Elise, Bensebaini, Colwill and Al Harby. 5 players that are, well, 4 players that are eliminated and 1 that is suspended in Colwill. I do still have 2 eliminated players in this team. We've got Kobel in goals and Leonardo up front. I just think with the budget it's very hard to try and pick a lot of the players that you are going to want, and I think going into the final, having Leonardo on the bench at only 4 million is just going to allow me to pick a lot more premium players, which I'm totally fine with missing out on a third striker for the semis to be able to do that, because other than that you've probably got João Pedro, who would be the best option available. I don't know if he is going to get chosen too much. Jackson's back as well, so it really is a debate on who does start, but we do see the lineups for that game. But I think that's probably the only where I would go for that, because PSG don't have another striker, Real Madrid don't have another striker, and I don't really want a Fluminense striker, so it would really only be one of the Chelsea strikers, and I'm happy just to put my transfers elsewhere and hope for the best with Leonardo on the bench. With Kobel, only one goalkeeper. There's only 2 matches at the end of the day, so I don't really mind having just Sanchez, and I can't really see one of Donnarumma or Courtois keeping a clean sheet in that match either, so that does feel like a little bit of a waste of a transfer. So I'm going all in on Chelsea, as you can see with the defence. We've got Robert Sanchez, Reece James, Cucurella and Chalobah in there as well. Chalobah is very likely to be starting, with obviously Colwell suspended. It is likely going to be him and Adarabayo, and only 0.8% owned. I can't see him climbing above 5% before tomorrow's deadline, so he's definitely going to be in the team. Whether he starts the final or not is a different question. He could always just go onto the bench and I could sub someone else in. But for the semi-finals, he's definitely one of the best available options. Then I've gone for the 2 Chelsea fullbacks as well, for hoping for potential attack and returns. But if Chelsea keep the clean sheet, which they are given a 38% chance to do, I've got 4 Chelsea defenders in there, which would be fantastic. And I think if they did keep a clean sheet, that would kind of be my route back towards the top 100, so that's kind of what I'm hoping for in this match day. Of course, Hakimi and Mendes, they've been in my team I think since match day 1, both absolutely essential I think. And then we've got midfield, Vitinha, Dembele, Kvaratskhelia. Dembele obviously was tipped to start, predicted to start in every single predicted lineup, and then didn't. Thankfully he came off the bench and scored and picked up a 7-pointer, which was really nice, and he looks as though he is going to be starting, or at least he does want to start against Real Madrid, and I think he probably will in that match, so that's good to have him back, and he is already in the team. Don't have to worry about a transfer for that. Kvaratskhelia, who is definitely the other best PSG attacker, so happy enough there. And then Vitinha, who obviously is on the penalties. So covered off with PSG in my opinion. I think Doué will probably drop down to the midfield. And obviously Barcola is very unlikely to be starting if Dembele is going to be taking that spot. Enzo Fernandez is my only Chelsea attacker, so I'm missing out on like Cole Palmer. Unfortunately, again, the budget just didn't really work for that. So I have went for Arda Güler instead as my third Real Madrid player. Again, Bellingham still a really nice option, but the budget didn't really work for that, and Güler seems to have cemented his place in Xabi Alonso's starting 11, so hopefully he can do well in that match and get us some points at only 12.5% owned. And then of course up front we've got Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. I think now Mbappe has come off the bench, has scored, there is a good chance he does start. I think Garcia could potentially do something in that match. Again, whether he starts or does come off the bench, he is just someone that I don't own at the minute. Could have potentially been a Marcus Leonardo replacement. I think he's only 5.1 million, so only 1.1 more than Leonardo is, but I'd rather just go for all in on one striker, and I think Mbappe is definitely going to be the best one available. So no Fluminense players from me. I really need Chelsea to go and win this match tomorrow, and then we could, if they do keep a clean sheet, we could have a really good position before heading into the finals. So for the captaincies, I'm very likely to go for one of Reece James or Cucurella. I think it depends where Reece James plays, so I think I would be more likely to go for Cucurella for that match. And then for PSG and Real Madrid, I will probably stick it on Dembele. I have went for Hakimi in recent matches. He obviously picked up an assist and a clean sheet against Bayern Munich, which was fantastic, and he was my captain in the quarterfinals. But I think Real Madrid's going to be a little bit more different, and I think he could be a bit more defensive in that match. So I think I'll go for Dembele, depending on whether he starts or not. If Dembele once again is on the bench, then the captaincy will just go to Hakimi, and hopefully he can pick us up some points. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy, again, make sure to leave a like as you go and subscribe as well while you are down there. This is, of course, the second last video, so the next video we make on this will be for the final and the final match of the Club World Cup. So let me know down in the comments section what rank you're at and what rank you are going to be aiming for with these 3 matches that are still to be played. So good luck for the semi-finals, and I'll see you all in the next one.